All right, Rico's Nano Challenge 2018 September update. This was definitely the hardest month, and it all goes back to my decision of not running filter socks. So I'm not a big filter sock fan because it's more maintenance. And it works out on my 30-gallon BioCube, on my 55-gallon, not too bad. But after 8.5 months of this tank running, and not heavy feeding, some reef roids here and there, reef chili. The sand bed, not too bad. I've vacuumed it maybe once, but the back of the all-in-one starts to fill up. Well, and I took a look at my skimmer also, and there was like a 1/4 inch of sludge. The reason that I looked at all these was because I had a giant algae outbreak, and giant meaning 10-20% of the rock, and it was growing every day. Phosphates, the highest I read was 0.18, and so things did not like that. Now the only casualties are these blastos right here. This one probably won't make it, and this one looks like it's going to bounce back. I lost some color in this guy. Some of the colors are definitely muted, but the softies don't care. A lot of these mushrooms especially are just not even phased. But I actually started to run no pox, and figure, all the bacteria will clean it up. I'll feed the bacteria can clean up the tank, and it just made it super cloudy because there was so much stuff to eat in there, obviously, for the bacteria, that it just made it cloudy. And so I ran no pox for a couple weeks. I sucked all the sludge out. This green lepto right here, where is he? This guy, he was green and yellow, so he's kind of browned up. So I got it back on track. I did like 70% water changes to kind of reset the system. I cleaned out the back. I replaced my Fosguard. I did some good husbandry and maintenance equipment maintenance, and everything's good again. The water cleared right up. I stopped the no pox, and looks like we're back off to a good start, or a good continuing. But yeah, it was sketchy for a minute. I mean, I definitely call it a mini crash for sure. So fortunately, we're back on track. So that's how the tank's been doing itself, with no major losses, other than I used to have a cleaner shrimp in here, and I don't see him anymore. And the green banded goby, I haven't seen him in a while, but I've still got my tail spot bunny and my clownfish. I did apply more frags of green star polyps. My big mother colony grew out again, so I snipped them all off and glued them to the back wall. I haven't seen a lot of growth, but it's nice to see the polyps coming out, and kind of at least starting to give that look I was looking for. So that's how the livestock's been doing. Let's take a look at the equipment changes. I'll take this off. It's a white light here. So because the back of the tank, actually I might need the blue a little bit. Because the back of the tank is the darkest spot, what I did was I went ahead and I had this T5 little Core Life fixture sitting around, and so that's the tiniest T5s you could get. I think they're 9-inch, but they end up being like 7.5 or something like that. And then I just set it on the back here, so that kind of lights up the back. I've got 2 actinic bulbs in there. And it just supplements my, sorry about the noise in the back, supplements my LED really well. And so I also changed my photo period. I went down to just 7 hours. And you all right, baby? I went down to just 7 hours, and of the T5s and LEDs, and like a 9-hour photo period overall. I find that sometimes a shorter period, the corals just like it. And so The skimmer's been all cleaned out. Again, there was a big pile of gunk in the bottom of it. I'm still running Fosguard and Zeovit, Aquaforce Zeovit, and I had some carbon in there, but it just doesn't, it clogs up. So ATO's still working, and it's been clear without the carbon. I'll run some again, but heaters in there and backup. But yeah, all those chambers got cleaned out. The Miracle Mud little containers were in here and 2 in the middle. So since I had that, I basically suctioned out each chamber when I was doing those water changes and cleaned the pump and everything. So I replaced the Miracle Mud in here and the Miracle Mud's in here. I figured why not, since I had them out. And then down here we've got not a whole lot different. That Apex is working great. Still doing the Nano pack from the Zeovit. I did change over to the BRS Kalkwasser, the Pharma. It seems to mix up about the same, but it was a little more potent. I had to back off the dosing a little, just a tad, and that was kind of one of the changes. My alkalinity went up to 10. My phosphates were up. It was just all out of whack for just a week there. It's not because I was ignoring it. It just kind of got out, just like it can if you let it go. So the Nopox isn't running right now. It's just still sitting there because I had it set up. I'll probably leave it there just in case I ever need it again. But I don't see myself using that anytime in the future. So, but you know, she's back on track. You know, it stalled the growth. I lost some color, and so now I've got to get back to growing and to coloring up. But we've got a few months left, and you know, I'd like to see that back wall grow out. I did add I boosted up my cleanup crew too. I added a lot more snails and like 3 more emerald crabs. I find that they just pick on everything. So, but you know, the acans all survived. They've never really thrived. I moved my Cyphastrias out from, they were parked over here. I got a couple of Recordias over here, and I moved them out to this rock. But sun corals are still alive, but it's not out. And it just made me realize that Pico, and if you saw it on my other stuff, Picos are hard. You know, this is not, when I did my 100% water challenge or water changes, I can only fill the buckets, or I did 100%. I could only fill the bucket with like 9 gallons, maybe 8.5. And so, you know, something changes in 8.5 gallons of water, it's changing quick. So I've just been happy to keep this thing going for a whole year. And it certainly has been a challenge getting this Pico going. It makes me realize why 2 Gay Reefers, they were doing 150% water changes. You know, homage to the Skull Reef that's not there anymore. I wish they would have stuck with it because they were really doing a neat job with that. But those massive water changes that they were doing for that system, you know, draining it out, filling it up, draining it out again, refilling it again, you know, that's what they were doing, you know, to keep it, you know, working. So I might step my water changes up to 20% twice a week. I've been doing 20% once a week, just to finish out strong. Or maybe 10% twice a week. I don't want to swing the parameters too much because I just kind of want to keep everything steady. But you know, it hasn't really stopped growth. If you look at, you know, this guy right here, that Fabia in the front is a great example. It's just growing and growing and growing and doesn't care. You know, the Fabias are trucking along. So. All right, well, happy reefing. We'll see y'all next month.